Hey, howdy, hey, friends. Trevor here with Cars That Move Us. Today we're going to talk about the most iconic hot rod of all times. The 1932 Ford Model 18 Coupe, or as we lovingly know it, the Deuce Coupe. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's step back into history. I'm personally a big fan of history, actually majored in history. And people told me I'd never use that major, so proving you wrong. How about that? But 1932, FDR just got elected to his first of 4 terms. Think about that, 4-term president. Can you imagine having Trump as the president for 4 terms? Anyway, so FDR just elected to the first of 4 terms. Amelia Earhart, she just did her solo flight across the Atlantic. Prohibition is going strong, so you know good times are happening. And Ford just introduced its first mass-produced V8 to the masses. And so this is what gives us this Deuce Coupe. So when the Ford came out, they made roughly 300,000 of them. And, you know, it was a good solid car. It was a Depression car, so it was built sturdy. It was built to just last and go. The V8, it was the very first production V8, like mass produces. They had them in the fancier cars, your Rolls Royce, your Bugattis, those kind of things. But this one was like the first V8 for the masses. And so that was really cool. But again, because you're in the Depression, like hot rodding is usually something you do when you're bored and you got a lot of time and money on your hands, right? So that really didn't fit with the Depression. Hot rodding technically started in about the 20s. Ironically, that's when Prohibition started. And this little thing called bootlegging also started to happen. And so what happened was, to get around the law, these guys would take their cars, they'd soup them up, right? It's kind of where the term hot rod. So they would hot up their cars. They'd increase horsepower and the engine. They'd modify the suspension so it can corner and do things better to get away from Johnny Law. And so this kind of created this subculture in the Deep South. And then, ironically, at the same time, over in California, guys were actually taking these cars and were racing them on dry lake beds. So opposite sides of the country, both kind of having this phenomenon of guys like souping up their cars. And so hot rodding was born. But it really didn't become what we know hot rodding is now until after the war. So war happens, all the GIs are coming home. They've got a little bit of time, a little bit of money, and they've got all these mechanical skills that they learned in the military. And so they are seeking adventure. They're seeking fun. And they find these 32s. That's where the term deuce comes from, is the 32. So they find these that are abandoned in farmers' fields. They're, you know, out in junkyards and everything. They're a dime a dozen. They're easy to find. They've got that Ford flathead V8 engine, and they're so easy to modify. So Ford, when they built it, they molded the steel differently than they had in the past. So it was a lot more sturdy. It was easy for them to chop. It was easy for them to channel the frames. It was easy for hot rodders to come in and just change what they needed to make it the car that they wanted. And so because of that, it wasn't just popular with the bootleggers, although it was. It wasn't just popular to the guys trying to set land speed records, you know, on the dry lake beds, but it was popular with guys that wanted to go drag racing, guys that wanted to do circle track. Because this car had such a strong foundation, it became this blank canvas, right? It became something that you could change 32 different things, and your neighbor down the street can have a 32 Ford, but yours would be nothing alike, right? They would be completely different. And so that was the beauty of it. You could make it your own. It didn't have to look like anyone else's. It didn't have to act like anyone else's. It was your own creation. It was the perfect blank canvas, if you will. And so that made it extremely popular. And so that's why when you close your eyes, experiment with me now. So close your eyes and just imagine a hot rod. So you're thinking back, you know, to the olden days, the 40s and 50s, and somebody wants to soup up something to make it go fast. Does it look like this? Or even this? Maybe it even looks like this. For me, the hot rod that comes to mind is from the movie American Graffiti. And in filming a few of these videos, I'm realizing so much of my personality is based on entertainment. So that might be something I have to address with the therapist later. But anyway, not here, not now. But American Graffiti, fantastic movie. And Bob Falfa had this bright yellow or piss yellow Deuce Coupe, 32 Ford. And it was amazing. It had no fenders. It had an open hood. You could see the headers coming out. And he had built it for drag racing. But anyway, so when I think of a hot rod, that's the one I think about. And you know what's funny? All those, they're all 32 Fords. They're all Deuce Coupes. They all look completely different. They all perform differently. They're all built for different things. But the thing they have in common is they're all a Deuce Coupe. And that was the beauty of it. It was such a simple machine, but a great foundation. You can make it whatever you wanted. So why does that matter? I mean, I like telling stories. These things are fun to talk about. Cars are great. But sometimes cars can teach us more about us, right? So the beauty of this 32 or this Deuce Coupe is it shows us that, we, like the 32, we can be a blank canvas. We can be molded into anything we want. All that limits us is imagination, right? If you want to make a land speed car, you want to make a drag racer, you want to make just a cruiser, something that go down State Street and pick up chicks, whatever. That 32 could be all those things. So in the same vein, your life, your experience, you can do that same thing. You're only limited by your own imagination. And it's never too late. You think about a lot. I'm getting up there in years. I just turned 40 this last year. And so sometimes I'm like thinking, well, maybe the best years are behind me. But did you know Henry Ford didn't start Ford Motor Company till he was 39? Ray Kroc didn't found the McDonald's system till he was in his 50s. And Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC till he was 40. So it's never too late. Sometimes you think, I'm too old to do what I want. I'm too old to change my life and do what I want. That's not true. And just like the 32 Ford, you can make your life whatever you want. You're 38 and you want to be a banker, go do it. You want to start a business, do that. You want to become a tattoo artist, hey, go for it. So you can literally do anything. You have all the abilities inherent within you, and you can do whatever you want. So think big, try something new, and use your blank canvas to make something fun. Thanks for tuning in. Short little episode today, and tune in next time as we talk about the Willys Jeep, the birth of freedom, if you will. Thanks. Talk to you next time.